it's that part of that snobbery, that left academia snobbery that says you don't have a certain number of letters after your name, then you don't get to be in this echelon, this group, this club. Charlie Cook skewered that rather beautifully at NRO, but I thought an even more interesting response was Mike Rowe's. Mike Rowe goes into a whole story on his Facebook page about how he got hired at QVC. He went down, and there were a lot of people that were applying, and they one by one went up and did their interview, and it was finally his turn. He goes in and sits across the room from a man who said, yeah, I guess it's in a hotel, and the man says, I want you to talk for 8 minutes without stumbling and stuttering, anything like that. And Mike Rowe says, well, what do you want me to talk about? The man just looks at this pencil, hands him a pencil. And for 8 minutes, Mike proceeded to talk about all the features of the pencil, all of the wonderful memories that he had as a child, the great advances in history that were made using pencils, and how pencils are so great. And the man had just told him, sell me the pencil, make me want this pencil. And after 8 minutes, he had wrote at the end of the interview on a piece of paper, he wrote, I'm looking for it, anyway, Mike had written something on the paper. He gave it to the guy who he'd been interviewing with him, and the guy took the pencil, wrote on it, "You're hired," and gave it back to him. And he's talking about how he didn't have qualifications. The people they were interviewing who were actors couldn't do it. The people who were salespeople were uncomfortable on camera. But they gave him 8 minutes to prove himself, and he did. And so for the people that are criticizing Walker, he's been given his 8 minutes now to prove himself, to be able to answer the charges of whether he, is qualified by whatever measure. It doesn't necessarily mean that he needs a degree, but it was a beautiful response that said it's going to be great to see Walker take that 8 minutes figuratively and spend it showing what he's got. I just thought that was a positive, beautiful way to talk about it.
I think this is a huge mistake by the left. Huge mistake, and the reason is far too many people work in workplaces that have young college kids with college degrees come into them, get promoted too quickly, and bomb out, and annoy everybody, and don't produce, and have big egos, and wind up in all the cliques and the inner circles until their production and performance is so horrendous that they get tossed. And that is a common, let me say one more time, common refrain in company after company after company. Here's my answer to that real quick. What matters in the real world? Your piece of paper, or whether you produce a good or service that somebody wants to buy?
Why are you ranting on my parade here, Andy? I worked hard on that women's studies degree. I worked real hard.
I know, I'm aware of that, and and I'm glad that you found that side of yourself. I have a degree. Okay, I have a college degree, and I always tell people, look, college degrees, it all depends on how the person uses it. There are people who come into a company and they apply that college degree, and it's wonderful, and then there are those who come into a company and that college degree was worthless. We all see it. Bottom line is, how do you produce? What matters in the real world? A piece of paper, or whether you produce a good or service that people want to buy. Whether you can lead or not lead. So when they come down with this kind of educational snobbery, the problem is that there are way too many people in America right now who are very disenchanted with people they've known with college degrees. Not that they hate college degrees, but they look at it and say, yeah, but can you lead? Yeah, but can you work? Yeah, but can you produce? Yeah, but can you perform? And the answer way too often is no. We can use this. This actually plays to our advantage dramatically.
We talk on this show all the time about how to reach people who are not traditionally conservative voters or Republican voters, and the need to go out there and find them and talk to them. And the question becomes, how do you do that? And Andy and Corey have talked a lot about engaging with questions and asking people how they feel. And so JD took this and his team, and they went to the community college and put it into practice. That is the neatest thing to me. Is we're not just talking here. He went out and tried it,